Thank you so much for your time and coming to hear Cybercy's webinar on artificial intelligence and the accelerating need for digital skills. For some time, we've known that cybersecurity is one of the top 3 business risks. Everybody knows we need to address cyber. But the question is, are current approaches effective? Are we getting ahead of this risk? And what will AI do? Today, we're going to share a different approach, one in which human-centered skills offer as yet untapped opportunities to change the current trajectory of cyber and all that is related to it. So what could possibly be new in a webinar on cyber? Cybercy was created from the observation that business leaders knew that there was significant risk. There was a problem with cybersecurity incidents, yet the level of confidence in meaningfully addressing the organizational challenge was and is very low. People would say, I rely on my CIO to do that. I don't quite understand them, but somebody else is responsible. And if you spoke to the CIO organization or the technical teams, they'll say, the people above me manage the risk, they set the risk appetite, I'm not responsible for this. They don't support me entirely to do the things that I need to do that we've identified as risk. So they talk about they a lot, and we'll come back to that notion a few times over the next few minutes. We have, of course, made significant advances around how to best respond to cyber incidents, but still the effectiveness of reducing the likelihood of threats is not being realized. So much of what we'll say in the next few minutes will be familiar to most of you, although I feel pretty confident that our approach is different from most. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along, as they occur to you in the chat, and Kath will manage those as she can. I will come to them at the end. I should let you all know also that we're recording this and we'll share with others. So what we've done so far, it's not my problem. Next year, data suggests that the cybercrime market will be $10 trillion, growing at 12%, while the cyber products and services market will be at $480 billion, nearly $500 billion, growing at 7%. Those two growth numbers tell us that the approaches that we are currently taking are not alone achieving the changes that we want in the realm of cyber. Most people in an organization say that they have it covered. Most people in an organization are passive in cyber incident prevention. They is this sort of ambiguous, deliberately ambiguous term that is used because people always think and always report that somebody else is responsible or has cyber covered. It's the lack of ownership or responsibility that is frequently exploited by bad actors. They understand that the basic skills are all that they need to trip people up with, and they facilitate mistakes being made in an organization, which is where vulnerabilities and cyber incidents happen. And the cyber incidents are always a mistake. Estimates say between 80 and 98% of cyber incidents happen because somebody didn't do something they should or did do something they shouldn't. I heard at the ASA conference in Canberra this week, somebody said it was 88% of breaches, and somebody responded, yes, it is 88, but that's because the other 12% haven't yet been allocated to human error. It's a large percentage of every cyber incident. It's hardly surprising that these mistakes happen at the rate they happen. We have moved as a species at an unbelievable pace into this digitized world. People have learned how to turn computers on, make an app work, collect data, use technology to enhance their work. But the environmental awareness has not been commensurate with the functional capability development. So we haven't developed the basic necessary skills to navigate the online environment. And so if you're not asking yourself this question, you should be. And if you're not asking yourself, what can I do about it? You should be. And if you're not asking yourself, how can I be responsible? You should be. What happens in your organization if your digital environment is disrupted in your area of responsibility? We'd like to say, what if everybody in your organization knew how to reduce cyber risk and behave better online? It was all about AI. It was all about cybersecurity and then AI. Oh, this is going to be difficult. The US president tells us we're in an inflection point in the industry, one of those moments where what we do now, the decisions we make in the near term, are going to set the course. The godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, says that AI could be extremely dangerous given the rate of progress, and I expect things to get better. He means the capability improved quite fast. We need to worry about that. The British Prime Minister says, you know, this could be a doomsday scenario in all sorts of ways, enabling bad people to do bad stuff. And, you know, the unlikely but possible risk of us completely losing control of AI completely. We say, let's seize the moment on this. Alex Hearn, the UK tech journalist, was responding to words from Eliezer Yudikowsky, one of the key research and developers of AI over time, and who is a bit of a doomsday person, a person with a pretty negative outlook about the prospect of what could go wrong with AI. And Hearn says, I think we should take his fears seriously, but you know, one of the fears is realized because we don't engage, we become lazy and we slave ourselves to the power of AI voluntarily. AI is incredible. It's done incredibly good things, and it's going to get better, and we need to learn about it, and we need to embrace it for what it can do for each of us. A member of the European Parliament involved in writing the new AI laws for the European Union said we want to make sure AI aligns with our values and our principles, and to help us create a more trusting and trusted society. We need to make sure our societies are protected, however, and that our institutions are prepared, understand what's coming, what the threats are, and how we could better use technology. We need to get our heads around this stuff. The Centre for Humane Technology says that we need to think about the experience of social media. It was about giving people voice and other awesome benefits, but behind the friendly face, there were problems, an addiction problem, and a disinformation problem, mental health challenges, and so on. And in relation to AI, it's going to be fantastic. We know this is going to make things faster, write code faster, solve impossible scientific challenges, solve the climate change crisis. And many people are going to make a lot of money. And all these things are true. They're going to be real benefits. But the whatabouts really matter. What about AI bias? What about if it takes our jobs? And we say, what if everybody in your organization had the knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors to embrace AI and to reduce the risk? The need for this new set of skills in the digital world was never more essential or urgent. We've got an advantage here. We can leverage our real-world experiences and learning to develop a new, sustainable digital intelligence.
In the physical world, the environment is visible. We can touch it, hear it, and feel it. We know things based on a long history and our experience. We have developed implicit knowledge and skills to undertake complex tasks. Things we now do unconsciously took time and effort to learn. In the digital world, a wealth of information and new services are now at our fingertips. Convenience is everywhere. Almost everything we want and need is quickly accessible. Yet unlike IRL, in the digital world, we don't have the same historical knowledge. Whilst using the online world is intuitive, the risks are predominantly unknown. Just like in real life, there are consequences for our actions. Rarely do we know when we are making ourselves vulnerable. There are no signs or instructions in this landscape. We have entered an environment we don't understand, and when we do something we ought not to, we don't have the implicit knowledge to know that we have become vulnerable. In order to navigate with proficiency, fully comprehend, and tackle an ever-changing online-offline life, we need a new lens. Cybercy is empowering us with knowledge and skills to thrive online. Just as literacy and numeracy became implicit to succeed in the real world, Cybercy is the new intelligence for the digital world.
So the first step is understanding. Why cybersea? We say that cybersea is the knowledge, skills, and attitudes and values needed to thrive and shape today's online world. And we highlight the impact on individuals and those they care about. An urgency is created and motivation is generated for people to do something different. By developing the knowledge, attitudes, and behaviours to enable better decisions, people develop the tools they need to change and engage in a safer, more productive, less risky way online. We've built a team, we've gathered a team of coaching psychologists, of educators, of human resource change experts, of policy experts, of filmmakers, storytellers, people from the cyber security and tech industries. And we've built a program, the cyber culture change program we call Mindset 1.0. It builds on the basic awarenesses we all have, and it fosters a culture of cyber awareness and responsibility for everybody. How does it work? We've said that we don't translate this physical world experience where our senses and subconscious know what to do and alert us to risks. We start to develop this intuition in the digital world so people change their behavior and understand what might be risky behavior online. We say that we stand out from conventional cyber programs because we concentrate on the personal dimension. Why do I do something different? Because it matters to me. I understand why, and I'm motivated. We nurture individual knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors to thrive and succeed better in this world. We start with an assessment of where people are at, the Cybersea discovery tool. We go through an immersive program of education, a workshop, the Cybersea Mindset 1.0. And then after time, we measure again how people have moved from their pre-intervention to their post-intervention state. And we can measure people against those things. We deliver this stuff, this information, this capability, we deliver it at an executive level to boards and executive teams, measuring their own cyber posture, helping their organizations and their leaders understand how individually and collectively they compare to their peers and to the other industry groups and like organizations. We deliver them an executive concentrated course of the information that we deliver across their broader teams. And we come back and say, your organization has improved, you have improved in this way compared to based on the findings of the discovery tool that they have concluded. We do a more immersive, extended version of this. What's your cyber posture at the moment? How do you compare to others? Let's really get into the 8 digital literacy standards that is the foundation of the Cybersea workshop, and we review people. The discovery tool is key for us here. We have worked with evaluators, academics at the University of Melbourne School of Evaluation to build a validated tool that says, what is your knowledge, what are your attitudes, what is your behaviour in relation to the 8 digital standards that were released by the IEEE, the World Economic Forum. That is a useful baseline and informs the next stage of our process, which is the workshop. The first half of the workshop series is around how do we survive, including concentration on what is our digital use, what's the impact of our technology use on our physical, psychological and emotional well-being. What do we need to know about how technology is designed to compulsively engage us, to help us stay online and spend more time online creating data that is at the heart of that $10 trillion cybercrime business that I talked about at the start. When that data is created, it starts to build an identity of who we are. How do we better control that? Because every digital encounter creates our identity, which leads to more people to the internet, to the digital environment, knowing more about us than we know about ourselves. When that happens, our safety is compromised. So how do we cultivate awareness of our online surroundings, of the online environment, to behave in safer, less risky ways? Because when our safety is compromised, we become a security risk. We become a security risk because people know how to exploit our weaknesses. And we therefore become a vulnerability for the organizations we work for. The second half of the workshop series is around how do we thrive? How do we communicate effectively? How do we develop techniques to make sure our message is getting across the way we want it to get across? By the way, every communication is collected as data and feeds back into our identity. The same thing about our digital and emotional intelligence. How do we understand what our responses are? How do we understand how we respond and how it impacts us online? By the way, you guessed it, our emotions are valuable data that are collected and captured and put into our identity. The 7th standard is around digital literacy, which in the standards makes reference to how do we understand, how do we verify the information that we get online? How do we make sure that we don't fall to misinformation? How do we develop a capability to not get into our own echo chamber? If everything we hear just is deliberately focused on our capability or our preferences, my experience online is very different to your experience online because of what is known about me and what my preferences are. So how do we help people understand that? And lastly, we close on digital rights. What rights are you giving away? What are you doing to protect your future self and your family's future in the engagement and the permissions you give? By the way, for customers of our organizations, for citizens, it's critically important that we have a reputation that we look after data when we take it seriously. So the people in our organizations need to understand how critical it is to protect the data of those people who rely on our organization. Coming up to the close now. So what do people say about a Cybercy program? Immediately afterwards, people have moved from they've got it covered to protection is up to us. I have to do something about this myself. People go, oh, I can start telling other people around this, and a contagion effect is created. People say, I don't know as much as I thought I did. That's a breakthrough. But after 3 months, we went back to people and they say, I think about this a lot. And I go, why do people want my data? I'm going to make a conscious choice about what I share and if the condition of getting this service, I may choose not to have that service. I can make a conscious, informed decision. People are saying, I'm telling people about this. You know, somebody said, I know people who are completely addicted to their phone all the time, and I tell them about how the design of the technology wants to keep us engaged and generate data. And here's somebody taking responsibility at the end. It was useful to me because I understood how a decision I make can affect those around me. Somebody starting to say, I am responsible for this. It's good to close with a recommendation from somebody who's done one of the courses, and this is from Air Marshal Mel Hupfield, the former Chief of Air Force and one of the 3 members of the Ministerial Expert Working Group charged with framing the National Cybersecurity Strategy. We've worked a bit with Mel and taken his advice about how we go forward, and we invited him to sit through one of our workshops to see what we do. And he said, the guy who wrote the recommendations for the National Cybersecurity Strategy said, what I learned doing a cybersecurity workshop has changed my behaviour online. It's added to my skills and facilitated safer behaviour. Cybercy has also impacted on my contribution in my professional roles. He sits on a lot of boards at the moment, forming and shaping deeper and more relevant questions. The benefits have also helped my family engage more safely online. That's the end of the slides. We look forward to taking some questions and to hearing from you. I'm Glenn, N@cybercy.com. We are www.cybercy.com. We are going to run the first of the workshops that I referred to in the presentation on the 17th of April here in Canberra. The gift to you for turning up today to this workshop is that you will get a 50% discount, and we will share the code of that offer to you shortly. We'll send it out, and we look forward to hearing from you and engaging with you with this different way of taking on the cybersecurity and AI challenge.